Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about the big news. Our guys, the Milwaukee Bucks, are going to the NBA Finals. They beat the Atlanta Hawks. Now it's going to be a Phoenix Suns versus a Milwaukee Bucks little thing. So I want to hear your opinions down below before we start today's video. It's basically going to be a predictions video on what I believe is going to happen. Phoenix Suns versus Bucks. So let's get into it. And I think straight up, this is going to be a 6-game to 7-game series. And I mine my I think this is a very good matchup. What I want to say is I'm biased because I want Chris Paul to win a championship. So as a guy who will admit that he is biased due to the fact that I think Chris Paul winning a ring is a lot better of a story than the Bucks because Giannis still has time, but I really really like this matchup because it's two completely different teams. Okay, the Bucks are a team led by Giannis and it's completely built around Giannis. Okay, this team head to toe is Giannis's team, and you look at the depth chart when Giannis is healthy. You got Brook Lopez, Antetokounmpo, Tucker, Middleton, and Holiday, with Tucker being rotated with Connington, Forbes, Teague, and Portis basically rotating there, and also Portis rotating with Brook Lopez, which is this team is built around Giannis and his skill set. While I believe the Suns are the more all around team. There isn't. You could argue that they're built around Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, but I think this team is built to complement their best players. Devin Booker, a great scorer, and he can be a secondary playmaker, which he is. They get Chris Paul, who, yes, he was a great scorer. He's still a good scorer. He's more of a third option at this point in his career, but he's still one of the best passers, and he's more of a primary ball handler. So he's the primary playmaker, third option scoring, good defender. Devin Booker, primary scorer, secondary ball handler. Okay, then you got Mikal Bridges being their slasher and basically splitting the third option role with Chris Paul. They basically, when Chris Paul has a good night, Mikal Bridges has maybe a 14-point night. Then when Mikal Bridges has a great night, 20 plus points, Chris Paul has a 14-point night. And they kind of give and take right there. Then you got DeAndre Ayton, probably the second most well-rounded center in the league. I think Joel Embiid, you could argue, is the most well-rounded. And you could really say DeAndre Ayton, at this point in his career, he is a Kroger version of Joel Embiid, which is an all-star center. Okay, being the Kroger version of Joel Embiid is a compliment. And I mean that. He's a guy who can defend at one of the highest levels. He can rebound at one of the highest levels. He can score at one of the highest levels for a center. And he's just been very impressive in his first playoff series, and I do very much enjoy him. Okay, in the postseason, he's averaging 16 points, 12 rebounds, a block a game, half a steal a game, an assist a game, and shooting 70% from the field on 36 minutes a night. DeAndre Ayton's a beast. And then, of course, Jay Crowder, the Swiss Army knife, who he comes in, he'll occasionally have a big night, but he's a guy who guarantees you at least, okay, 7 rebounds some nights, but really he's at least 5 rebounds. 5 to 6 rebounds a night he guarantees you, with about 10 points and a steal block every game, and shoots 37% from 3. And then that whole bench. Cameron Payne, who does his best job to imitate Chris Paul. I'm just kidding. Cameron Payne's his own self. He's a guy who's got a really good mid-range game. He can hit the 3 ball. He's showing the ability to, distribute. And that's another thing, is they tell, when Cameron Payne comes in, they sometimes roll him out there with Dario Saric or even Javon Carter at the same time. So they continue. They don't tell anyone to be the primary facilitator. They're like, Chris Paul, you bring the ball up sometimes. Devin Booker, you bring the ball up sometimes. Don't worry, Chris Paul, you don't have to have the offense running always through you. Then when Paul and Booker are off the game, or sometimes they'll just take Paul out and put Payne in, the game runs through Payne and Booker. And sometimes they'll have Saric, Payne, and one starter in, either Chris Paul or Devin Booker, and Payne and Saric are in the game. And Payne, Saric, and that one starter, either Booker or Paul, split the ball handling duties 3-way. So this is why I think the Suns are better, because look, Giannis is going to play probably every game. But when you go down, besides the starting lineup, 7 guys on this team, Holiday, Middleton, Tucker, Antetokounmpo, Lopez, Portis, and yeah, I think Forbes has been reliable this playoff, but once you look at it, Jeff Teague and Pat Connaughton aren't going to be giving you scoring punch. I think the difference with the Suns and the Bucks is the Suns are 10 players deep. You could argue that they can even go 11 deep some nights because they have Darius Saric, Cameron Johnson, Torrey Craig, Cameron Payne, some nights Javon Carter, and some nights you'll see Frank Kaminsky too, depending on what they need. Monte Williams shows the ability to throw out the game plan. That's another thing. I think Monte Williams is the better coach. Budenholzer showed this, during this playoff series. We literally saw him. He did not adjust when Giannis got hurt, and they brought it to a 2-2 game. Okay, then he went back and he adjusted with the game, the day off they had. But Monty Williams seems like the type of guy that goes halftime or even in between quarters, throws out a game plan, okay? And I think that's so much more impressive as a coach than, Budenholzer. I really think that the better coach is going to win the series, and that's Monty Williams. He's a player's coach. He's a good also tactician, and he's a guy that people buy into, what they're doing, and that is being a team that it spreads the ball, don't really have any weaknesses. They get rebounds, they hit 3-point shots, they play hard-nosed defense. Okay? And I really think that they're a team that people don't want to be messing with. Devin Booker can go off on any night. So can, DeAndre Ayton. And I think, yes, who's going to stop Giannis? My idea is, if I'm a good coach, I'm letting Giannis score as much as he wants, and I'm taking everybody else out the game. Because I think I have the defenders to take out Drew Holiday, Middleton. I think Chris Paul can keep up with Drew Holiday. And then, when Chris Paul comes on the floor, Javon Carter is a capable defender. And I know he hasn't played much in this postseason, but he's shown the ability to be a decent defender. And Cameron Payne at times has shown to be a decent defender. Jay Crowder can make Giannis's life miserable. DeAndre Ayton's going to shut down Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis. Now you get scared when he goes off the bench, who's going to be able to keep doing that, so that's when they can go off. Force Chris Middleton to take shots, but then I put Devin Booker, who isn't the best defender, but Mikal Bridges on Chris Middleton, shut him up. Okay? And Torrey Craig out there, Mikal Bridges, Torrey Craig, and Jay Crowder and DeAndre Ayton out there with just the Devin Booker, Chris Paul rotating in. Yeah, that's not a lot of scoring, but the defense right there will shut down, I believe, the Bucks more than I think the Suns have more talent to shut the Bucks down than the Bucks do to shut the Suns down. And I think that's where the story of this series will come down to, that there's going to be more talent on the Suns and more players who will be able to shut them down. And that's where I think the series goes, is that I really think Devin Booker and Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton are too much for our guys, the Milwaukee Bucks. So I want to hear your opinions down below. What do you guys think? Am I crazy? I'm really going to stand by this. 6 games at least. This could go to 7, guys. I think this will be interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below. Peace out.